Welcome back. Before anything else, I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year, and what better way to start the year than to review a vintage watch. And if you're new to the channel, I always love to give these vintage watches a spotlight of their own since they never had social media during the times they were released. I want to keep sharing these types of watches besides all the new ones, of course. If you like these types of videos, please don't forget to click the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of it. Let's proceed. Citizen chronographs from the past have been bold, if not ambitious. They were right up there in terms of design with Seiko and other chronograph manufacturers during the 70s and early 80s. This one in particular is what they call the Citizen Spider Flyback, and it has a reference number of 679119. An interesting looking chronograph with spider-like indices which gave it the name or the nickname Spider. Not much information is found in this watch online, but based on what I have seen from other Citizen chronographs, this was made up to the early 1980s. Obviously, the more famous Citizen Bullhead, which I have here, which we will compare later, is taking the spotlight for most of the time. But this one is a hidden gem. This watch has an 8110A movement, which is an in-house movement by Citizen. Quite a reliable movement, and frankly, better than the 6138 of Seiko. I have less issues with my Citizen chronographs with that movement. That is based on my experience. No need to fight over it. The 8110 was produced starting from 1972, so we can estimate that this watch was also produced during that timeline. The movement beats at 28,800 beats per hour and has 23 joules. It had about a 40-hour power reserve, and that is sufficient for a vintage watch. With all that said, it has a smoother sweeping hand, at the sacrifice of lesser power reserve as compared to the 6138's 45 hours, but it has a lower beats per hour. So on paper, this Citizen movement is better than the Seiko one. The design of this watch reminds me of a Porsche design chronograph, mainly because of the color scheme, the gray dial and the black accents. The bracelet is also unique blacked out design on each link. I had this repainted since it looked faded when I got it, and it looks much better now, much more uniform. And also the second hand and the subdial are all washed out. I like the look, it makes it look more authentic, even though I can easily have it repainted. The specs of this watch are right here, and as you can see, it is friendlier than the Seiko ones, which I'll compare to in a while here. This is by far one of the coolest chronographs I have ever owned. The wrist presence is marvelous for an almost half a century old watch, which you can see on the B-rolls, but I'll try here nevertheless. It's on my 6.5 inch wrist. The crown is signed CTZ. And the unique thing about this watch is it has a left crown right here for rotating the inner minute track, which I will demonstrate. So you can turn it bi-directionally. The Seiko Poke also has this function, but it can be rotated with the crown down. This one has its own dedicated one. Just a nice touch and smooth action. And to my eyes, it fits inconspicuously, not bulging out and making it look weird and all. The day date window can be adjusted like so. Let's just move it for a while there. Well, let's see. Okay, adjust. So let's try to adjust the date here. That's how you move the date. And the other side, the opposite side, does not do anything. You have to press the bottom button right here. Yeah, so that's a cool thing that most vintage chronographs have. I also forgot to mention that the bezel right here, the outer bezel, was repainted matte black because it was faded and it looked kind of ugly. Okay, so let's try out the chronograph function of this watch. So this is a flyback, meaning if you press this button right here, the whole chrono function resets automatically and it instantly starts without the needing to press this and that, which takes a lot of time. If pilots are using this or race car drivers, they can do it instantaneously, which I will demonstrate here. So this is working now. Almost recording 3 hours there. And reset. And when I let go, it instantly starts, which is amazing. Some Seiko watches also has this function, and Man, this is just a beautiful dial. So let's start using the traditional one, which you stop it first, and then you reset it. And sometimes these old chronographs, you have to press it twice. Yeah, so it looks clean. And since it only has 2 subdials, you don't know what the timekeeping second hand is doing. So usually I'll just leave it on for aesthetics. Yeah, so there you have it. That's the function of the watch. Okay, so I have here some watches that I would like to compare to this watch. And so this is Citizen's 8110, and this is the Citizen Bullhead. And yeah, look at that. This one looks good too, but this one's just unique, you know. And this is a Seiko 6138 UFO. I forgot the reference. See there? So this is huge. This is like 41, 42. And this is 38, 37. And that was the competition. And I don't know if Seiko reissues chronographs like this. They usually reissue the best-selling ones like the Panda. But Citizen, I don't think they tend to reissue that much in terms of faithfulness, because Bullhead was a quartz now. It just doesn't look the same as this one. And the automatic movement is just phenomenal. And this one is also another one that I like to compare. This is a 6139. I believe it's called the Silver Ghost. 6041, yeah. And it's banged up. It's also a chronograph. And as you can see, this is why I don't like chronographs. It's not resetting anymore. Yeah, but you know, I've just got it here to compare it to the Citizen. And it's not that far. Citizen was at the top of their game during these times, and I really appreciate them for releasing these kinds of watches to have some variety. Because Seikos were also ambitious with all the colors, with all the different varieties. And I just hope they continue to make automatic chronographs, because they had the ability before. And an awesome watch. So yeah, that's my quick comparison. Overall, this is just a beautiful watch. And I know chronographs can be a pain to own. As I've demonstrated earlier, there was a problem there with my Silver Ghost, especially vintage ones. But their beauty is just too hard to pass. Despite the flaws of it not surviving a trip to the sink, I still like to keep a few, and this might be my current favorite Citizen chronograph, better than the Bullhead. It is also quite easy to regulate, and I'll try to put a screenshot of the time grapher using my phone. Not the most reliable, but so far it converts to real world usage pretty great. So that's all for now. I'll see you soon. Stay safe.